mum had severe postnatal depression, and my first memory is me coming home from school, me and my sister, and two police standing outside the closed door, and we were ushered away. So my mum had took her own life. She took an overdose. Tony was a big massive character, and he hated all the drinking and all that. It was just that after Tony took his own life, I thought about stuff that he'd said, and it was just, I hate this place, he would say. No, like me and you would say. But no, for the other things, no, you couldn't pick up on things with Tony. He's I need to tell you something, you need to sit down. He says, I tried to take my own life last night, and the police are probably going to come back to the door. But Tony, while Denise is away, he takes his watch off, wallet out the pocket, phone, and goes and gives it to my wee granddaughter. And Gudrun, just round the roundabout is a police, an ambulance. So he starts chasing them, and they took us to the hospital. And we had to wait for ages. We were all there. They let her in to see Tony. And everybody was like a sigh of relief, because he just looked as if he was sleeping. Just like to say that anybody, themselves, who are struggling, please tell somebody. Doesn't matter who it is, one person, tell them.
The inspirational Linda Rice, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam. Good to be here.
It's great to have you on the show, Linda. You come with a great power, massive presence, full of inspiration, the work that you're doing. So if you can speak me through what you've got going on now in the present, or this amazing stuff that you're doing to help people.
Yeah, I'm the founder of Tony Safe Place in Cumbernauld. I lost my son to suicide, so in memory of Tony. So that's where I'm at now.
And what type of work are you doing in the community?
So we have a community hub. We're helping with mental health. It's forefront of everything. Suicide awareness and prevention. It covers addiction, poverty, loneliness, bereavement, everything. Covers that whole thing of mental health.
So it's an amazing thing. You're using your pain and suffering through a traumatic event to then help other people, gain people an option, somewhere to go when they feel that they're so low that they don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But they've got an option there now. They've got somewhere they can go. They can reach out to yourself, your team. It's a beautiful thing, Linda. So you should be proud of yourself for that one. Now we'll dive into your story. Mm-hmm. So if you can take me back to like your early memories of childhood, your first chapter, because it's a powerful story that you've got.
Yeah. Came from Partick, came to Cumbernauld. New flats were built in Greenwig Road, and I had two sisters, mum and dad. Loved it. Went to school. I was 4 when I went to school. I was December child. But things weren't great. My mum had severe postnatal depression, and my first memory is me coming home from school, me and my sister, and two police standing outside the closed door, and we were ushered away into a neighbour's house.
What age are you at this time, Linda?
I must have been 5, 6, going into
What was the story then? Why were the police there?
So my mum had took her own life. She took an overdose. My sister, we'd went to school. My mum had asked my sister to stay off school, and she says, no, me and Linda are going to school. And my mum had been in and out of hospital. She tried to take her own life on a few occasions, and she took tablets, went to sleep. My sister, my young sister, in her just a wee nap in the afternoon, and never woke up. And then the memory that I have was going back into the house, and everybody's there, and it's one of the old Chesterfield chairs that my dad's sitting on, and you just get these 3 wee girls sitting there on his lap and everybody's in tears. But my memory for that child is that nobody's explaining anything. Nobody's telling us anything. My thing is that I can feel basically nothing because I'm just thinking she'll be back in hospital again. She'll be back.
Because you're such at a young age, you're only 5 and nobody's told you anything, you're just going through those emotions. It's a traumatic thing to carry through your full life for you.
Yeah.
When did you really start to ask questions then? Was it when you were a bit older, age 11?
Yeah, I never believed for a minute my mum was gone. Never told anybody that I never had a mum. My young sister, very nosy, going into my dad's bottom drawer, bringing stuff out, and it was my mum's death certificate. We're all sitting and she read it out and it was death by suicide. So instantly that's like a ton of bricks to me that I'm at an older age and I know this is what's happened. And I've actually went into school. I was in first year and I went into school. And they all thought my mum had died that day because it all came out. It came out in PE, I just broke down. And the PE teacher actually sent me home.
It's like you're reliving that.
Yeah.
Because you, from age 5 up to age 10, 11, you've not really accepted it because nobody explained it to you. So to carry that through there and then read that death certificate and then get into school that day, it's like it just happened that day.
Yeah. For me, that's what it felt like. It happened that day my mum had died because that was it, final. I knew she wasn't coming back.
It's such a hard trauma to deal with, especially in childhood.
Yeah.
So where did you go for there? So you're age 11 up to age 16 when you're round about getting ready to leave school.
I
know you had another traumatic event in your family.
My brother-in-law took his own life, hung himself. First funeral I'd went to, and my dad had a big thing about no letting me go, but I had to go because I was with Scott, my husband, that became my husband. It was his brother.
What age? You're only young, aren't you?
16.
16.
But the more I thought about that, my dad was probably trying to protect me because in his mind it was another suicide, and it wasn't just about going to that funeral. It was probably that's what it was. And me and my dad never spoke about that, but now I think about it, that's probably why he wasn't wanting me to go. But really traumatic for the family.
Age 16, so going through into your teenage years and that. How are you dealing with these things up between that age and up into your early 20s? So you're together with your husband at the time. Or he's only married yet, but you got married really young, didn't you?
Yeah, I was married at 19. For the trauma with drinking, when I was drinking, it was never good. It was never good with the drinking, and really, you know what I mean, there was a lot of pain there, and how you deal with pain, and you're lashing out at others, and somebody says something, and that's you in an argument or in a fight. It wasn't good. It really wasn't good.
So you're together, young, you get married.
Yeah.
Many kids?
4.
4 kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure you explained to me he's had a big house, Greenfields.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people just stay together and they're not truly happy. But you knew that you had to leave because it was really affecting you.
Yeah.
So you talk me through that. When did you actually have the idea of saying, listen, I need to move now, I need to take the kids? Because it's that again, it's hard.
Well, I was married for 17 and a half years. It was a long time, and you're just thinking, want to break the family home up. Everybody isn't happy, do you know what I mean? So I was thinking I was keeping that close-knit family thing together for the bairns, but I wasn't happy myself, and there was a lot going on. And it was the bairns are going to go up and leave me, and I'm going to be left. So I had to make that decision. And I was 35 when I was left. I was still young. But, left with 4 beans, 4 black bags, as I say.
Where did you head to?
I went to Beechwood. And Beechwood is great because we could have that family time that we all could relax. And even though it was a crazy house because everybody and their granny was in and out, there was 4 kids, 4 different sets of friends, but that's the way I liked it. I always liked it. Them coming in and out, and I know they were in my house and they were safe.
When you talk about synchronicities, because I also stayed in Beechwood, as you know, and that's where my nickname at the time came from. I will try and keep it serious. The Beechwood Bandit.
Yes, of course.
So you've moved there, and the kids are starting to grow up there in that. It's a rough area. They say that Beechwood was a posh part of Kilbrain and Cumbernauld, but you're still, when you go outside, you're mingling with everybody that's in that environment, and there's drink, there's drugs, chaos, parties, crime. So how did you feel when the kids were starting to go into the teenage years then, and they're going out to the dancings and stuff? That must have been hard.
Yeah, it was like Miss Marple and Poirot every Friday night. That's who you are, because you're chasing them about, you're making sure they're safe. You've got all different situations going on. If it's no their friends coming to the door with the police, you're trying to protect them. They're away drinking. It's like chasing. That's all we done every weekend. It was hard. It was hard to do but everybody was doing it. You know what I mean? Because that's what they were all doing. They were all up to all sorts.
Talk to me about your son Tony then, because I knew Tony well. I used to see him up at the church playing football and stuff like that. We'd always be in parties and we'd have a laugh. Great big character. Tell me the story there then, because I know it's really difficult, right? Take me for the start. When he was in his teenage years, moving into his 20s. When did you start to notice? Did you start to think maybe there's something up with him or something wrong? Or?
Tony was a big, massive character, and he hated all the drinking and all that, and he was always, you know what I mean, he was like, just get everybody out, all this carry on, but it wasn't as easy as that, because everybody was trying to do their own thing, but Tony was the man that was like, no, nobody drinking in here, all this carry on. And he used to go to the windy, we'd go to the windy in Beechwood, get him to the left, he'd be throwing an egg out to them, and he was just, he was a rascal, he was a rascal. But it was just that after Tony took his own life, I thought about stuff that he'd said, and it was just, I hate this place, he would say. No, like me and you would say, I hate this. But it was more about, I hate this life. That's where it really hit me.
Right.
And it's just going back and remembering that. But no, for the other things, no, you couldn't pick up on things with Tony. You just couldn't pick that up, that there was something else. But apart from that statement, when I went back and thought about it, I was like, that's not what he was meaning. I hate this life. I mean, I don't want to be here, kind of thing.
And you remember he said that to you?
I really passionately, you know what I mean? It's not just a wee passing comment. It was with passion that you can't say it else, you can't back that up with saying.
A lot of people make these statements.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be here, I hate this place.
Yeah.
A lot of people mean it. You know, and it's hard because how are you supposed to know these things?
Yeah.
When did you start to see signs then that he didn't really want to be here? I know he made the statement, but more physical signs, stuff that he was doing. What happened?
Well, I took Tony to New York when he was 21. Tony was like a big kid, big massive kid, and he was like a child in a sweetie shop. He was going out in the middle of the night, leaving the hotel, didn't even know he'd been out, just amazed by the lights, everything about it. He loved it. And he was single. He wasn't hung about with girls and stuff, but he was always about his pals. That's what Tony was.
He was always immaculate, Tony. I always remember him being, because obviously being for a rough area, we never had much, and everybody wanted to have the best of gear, but he always had, everything was pristine.
Aye.
Like just walked out of a photo shop or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It was just like you should have been in a window type of dress sense.
Tony would say, they used to laugh, and Tony would say, "Do you want to get in the tune today?" I ain't bothered about the member, I've got no money. But Tony would come back with £100 trainers. You know what I mean? That was what he would, and it's the way he done it. I mean, there was no, it was just how he go run you. You know what I mean? And they used to give their nut and saying, he's getting these trainers. But that's the way he was. He loved clothes. He loved his trainers, his briefs, as they called them. He called them briefs. But aye, that was Tony's thing. It was.
I know you told me a story about when I think the police had came to your house. That was kind of the first kind of times where you started to really see that something was really wrong. Can you talk me through that story?
Aye, there was a situation, a family situation, that I was called at 2 o'clock in the morning. I had to go down to her brain, and I'd went to see, make sure he was all right, and he'd been drinking. And Tony, that's Tony's thing, he wasn't a drinker or anything, but he started drinking. He saw this creeping in a bit, and so he was with one of the boys, and I got him and everything was all right, but we didn't know the situation, what had actually happened there. So he wouldn't come home with me. The boy that had him was like, look, I'll make sure he's all right, nothing else is going to happen, we're fine. It's all sorted. So I went away back home, 6 o'clock in the morning, police are battering down our door. But somebody had phoned me and said they'd seen Tony's motor down at the Green Falls bus station. So in my head I'm thinking, has he had a drink? You know what I mean? He's been a bit of turmoil, has he had a drink, has he took that motor? So our thing was, we need to get that motor back before somebody finds out something. So police went away and Tony happens to come back in between this, running up my stairs. So I'm like, what's going on here? I mean, the police have been at the door. So he's quite frantic. He's like, I need to tell you something. You need to sit down. He says, I tried to take my own life last night. And the police are probably going to come back to the door. And I was like, so my first reaction is, how can you do that to me? Wrong thing to say, but that's what I said. Just totally devastated and eating and all the rest of it. So anyway, first of all, the family, everybody's coming up. Police are back at the door. So we went into the room with Tony and they spent about 2 hours in there with Tony. Amazing what the police had done.
Yeah, Neuropolis. I think the story you told me is they'd done a lot of investigation work to find out who he was.
Aye.
And they'd went to, was it Tesco cameras or something like that?
Aye. He'd went down to the railway station and there was a set-up, so a dog walker had seen it. So Tony's actually fell onto the tracks, he fell. And but she thought the trains took him and she thought he's away. But there was a bottle of Jack Daniels and there was a note for me in Brooklyn, his wee boy. And so the police have went down, been phoned, went down, seen this. There was a receipt for Tesco beside this bottle of Jack Daniels. Went in, checked it, checked the cameras, checked the receipt against his card. And the police right away spotted it's Tony. So he'd played football, the community police had played football with Tony, they all knew him. And so they knew who he was. And the police, when they came out the room and they came in the kitchen to talk to me and we had a wee talk, and basically they'd been to loads of circumstances like this before, and obviously that's her job, and it basically said, never seen anything like this before. Because he was just basically telling them that last night he wanted to die. Deadly serious about it. And anyway, so we're just talking and Tony comes in like he does. And as if it's just normal. Throws his cell up in the worktop and he basically says, listen, basically, I know you're talking about me, but I just want to tell you this is no a cry for help. See, last night I wanted to die. And kind of laughing, like as if this is nothing. And me, I'm greeting, the two police are greeting, because we were like that. What is this? So, aye.
So see, after that incident, Linda, did you feel like you had to tiptoe around about the mental health with Tony? Like he wouldn't talk about it as much after that? It was like a taboo subject.
Yep. The situation is, what should happen is the police go to the social work department to report it. You get a wee letter, and it was a wee handwritten letter with a wee pen and paper posted through the letterbox. Tony with police have been in touch. I tried to talk to Tony about it. I showed him the letter. I've still got the letter to this day to say, look, where do we go with this? We need to take this a wee bit further. But Tony was shutting me down at all, just shutting me out. And me and Tony were like best pals, talk about it, but we just couldn't talk about that. I couldn't get in. But when I would look at it, it's really difficult with a family member because you're tiptoeing around it. You know what I mean? It's the wrong thing to do, and I'd never advise them to do it. But I was tiptoeing around it, you know what I mean? I wasn't wanting to upset him. But really I should have been saying to him, how do you feel? Are you okay? Do you want to, if you put a plan in place, do you still feel the same? You know what I mean? I should have been approaching it. I should have been saying it. But I didn't. What I've learned now.
But I think we don't know these things when we're in that moment. We think we're doing the right things at that time. We can always say, look back and say, oh, I should have done this, should have done that. But you've done what you could have done and should have done in that moment in time. Mm-hmm. So you can't blame yourself for these things. Mm-hmm. You could only do what you could in that moment. Mm-hmm. So can you talk me through, where did you go after that, right? So I know you're tiptoeing around about it, right? And then the unthinkable happens, because in reality, you don't think this is going to happen. You don't think it's going to happen to you, right? You hear about people committing suicide. You don't think it's going to happen to your family, right? Especially a massive character like that, right? Can you talk me through that day when Tony left the house and he gave his stuff? I think he gave his phone and that to his wee niece and stuff like that. If you can talk me through detail, I know it's hard, but in your own time, Linda.
Aye, so Tony was over at my daughter's, and she was coming to pick me up for work. And she says, do you want me to take you to Mum's? And he said, no. And they had a wee bit of an argument, just saying to him, look, there's a situation that happened the night before. I need to speak about this. The situation happened the night before, where he was drinking. He'd been away to pack his flat up. He was drinking. So she'd phoned me in the middle of the night and said that he was trying to put himself in front of cars and all that, lying in, now nobody's about in the road, madness, but he's lying in the middle of the road and all this. Bit frantic, a wee bit, just really didn't really know who she was. He was calling her somebody else, and the more we look back on it, you know what I mean, how horrific it was. So anyway, she's phoned me. I was like, right, I'll get a taxi over, and she's like, no, Mum, I've got him settled, I've got him in, he's fine now, he's all right, we're all going to go to sleep. So that, I got back to sleep for a couple of hours, and that night, I had a premonition, a Tony, and a coffin. And he was Mr. Swap with this beautiful dinner jacket. Had a few of them. But a beautiful blue. He's black. He could pull it off, whatever he wore. His black drip jeans, his white shirt. So in this premonition, I've got Tony in this coffin. And I never thought about it, because I was like, that wasn't the right coffin, because it was like a brown coffin. But as if somebody's trying to tell me something here. And I've had premonitions before, but that was really unbelievable. But anyway, I'm just thinking, obviously, you're thinking, what's happened? I've obviously dreamt this, blah, blah, blah. But Tony didn't come here. She picks me up for work, drops me off at work. But Tony, while Denise is away, He takes his watch off, wallet out the pocket, phone, and goes and gives it to my wee granddaughter and walks out the door. So my daughter's man had phoned and she told him what had happened. So he's instantly phoned Denise. So she's told me. So our instant thought is we need to go and look for him. And it's madness in a way. It's about saying, did you phone the police right away? No, that's not what we done, because you think about all these things. Report a missing person. How long's he been missing? He's just walked out the door. And madness, we should have done that instantly because of the situation that we were in, and probably because of Tony's that would have been on record as previous. But you're in that way, you're never thinking what's going to happen and what's going to be in front of you.
No, you just think stuff like this has happened before, and we'll go and we'll find them and we'll tell them everything's going to be all right.
Yep.
And we'll get back to the start again.
Yep.
So what happened?
So anyway, she comes to get me at work. I'm trying to do stuff. It's madness, the things you think that you're doing. I'm trying to do stuff, take my time to get her, to pick me up, to get out and look for him. Anyway, comes and gets me, so right away. So you're thinking Westfield, you're looking, going, where's he went to? Where's he walked to? And she's, little do I know that she's already went round to do loads of searching round about her, where you walk out her door. And so instantly, I'm totally drawn to Broadwood Loch. And she said, you know, be done there. I was like, I need to go there. I just need to go there. And you go down where the swans and all that. And the path, there's a path that takes you right round the loch. And there's a path, so you would go to your left and you go to your right. There's another path, and it takes you round to a tunnel. And I only gets to that part, and I'm right there. And I just want to scream. I just want to scream his name. And you're looking in the water and stuff. It's just madness what's going on. And I was about to scream his name, and my daughter says, look, we'll go down the loggy. She's like, he was always going down there, like for a walk. We're in the motor. And we went down there, she's put it on Facebook so everybody knows. Them just seen my brother Tony Rice. And we're way down there, and I just kept saying, I know he's at that loch. So we rise back up. And go round. Just round the roundabout, there's a police, an ambulance. So he starts chasing them. The motor, and actually stops in the middle of the roundabout, and I gets out the motor to try and speak to somebody, but they don't know where they're going. They don't know how to get into this loch. So they're away. By the time I get back in the motor, my daughter's like, we need to go back to the house, Mum. We need to phone the police. So we're just running for it. And I seen this white van sitting at the bottom of the road. And we goes back up to her house in Westfield. So she's phoned the police. And I just know, I know. And he starts saying, asking about a tattoo. And Tony Brooklyn, he only had, never said he was going to get tattoos, but get Brooklyn, his date of birth. That was me, totally freaked out. My wee granddaughter's got me, and I was like, I can't lose him. I can't. Just can't lose him. I ran out the house, and I knew he was at the bottom of that road. My niece comes and gets me halfway down. I says, take me to the bottom of that road. Gets out the motor. It's at an embankment. Climbed over, and I'm looking down. Can't see Tony. But this police was just a line of people. You could hear a pin drop. And the police woman's trying to come up. And she's saying, you can't come down here. And I said, aye, I can. My son's down there. I can't see Tony. And she comes running up. And she's like, it's all right, Linda. Everything's all right. We've got him. But I just couldn't even get a breath. I couldn't get a breath. But by this time, everybody's at the bottom of this road. Friends, family, everybody's there. And the police comes up, and then over the radio, when the police said, he's dead. So that's that. Everybody's screaming and terrific. And then the police woman comes and says, no, sorry, he's running meant to hear that. He's all right. He's on his way. He's away in the ambulance. So me and my daughter had went in. The police van with the two police women. And they took us to the hospital. And we had to wait for ages. We were all there. And he said they had to do a brain scan, all this, and they let her in to see Tony. And everybody was like a sigh of relief, because he just looked as if he was sleeping. And but I looked at the doctors and I knew. I mean, they couldn't tell me their name because I've got to try everything under the sun. But I could tell that deadly silence. But everybody was away getting fags and all that. Everything's going to be all right and all the rest of it. And it was 5 days he survived in the hospital. And he just stayed up there.
Did you speak to somebody in charge, like a doctor, to try and find it?
Aye, well, they were trying to explain. Me and his dad just stayed in with him, slept in there, and slept in chairs for the first 3 days, and then they need to take him off the ventilator to see if he comes round or there's any movement. So they'd explained all this to us. But then Tony had came round as a point of came round, but that wasn't Tony, it was there, you know what I mean? He was gone. It was, and all the boys and all that, because they could see something, they were all laughing and joking. I mean, this is an intensive care unit, and there was hundreds of people that came to that hospital and just came and went, and we all lived there for 5 days. And by the boys, I think they thought
he's going to get him back now.
He's going to be all right. And it was my sister that noticed that that's not Tony. And I know Tony who he was. You know what I mean? Tony wouldn't want to live as a vegetable lying in a bed, and you know what I mean? The doctor was basically saying you can take him away, but it might be, I mean, you'd put him in another ward, and I mean, but that's not Tony, it's left. I mean, you wouldn't do that to an animal. So they basically took us into the room and told us, basically, there was absolutely nothing they could do. And they'd asked about, obviously, donating his organs and stuff. And for me, I've regret now of doing that. But then, it's my boy. I don't want anybody to go. So they explained everything, and they basically had to go and check the register, because I thought Tony, because I'm a donor, but I thought Tony had registered, but it would have been out of our hands if he had, but he didn't. But he had the heart of a lion, but I believe Tony, that was for us all to say goodbye. And it was Denise's neighbour that found Tony. He went out for a jog. And Big Eddie, a big soldier, you know what I mean, big boy. And he'd found him. So when we came home from the hospital, I had to say, Eddie, I need to retrace all these steps. I need to know exactly what had happened, how he'd found him, everything, every detail. So he took us away down the path that he walked and everything, and he'd found Tony at the tunnel. And Tony, a big massive boy, tried to get him down. Said the knots that he tied were unbelievable. Couldn't get him, so he flagged down this van that I'd saw. And the boy got him. And just him knowing, oh, he's medical training and stuff. He got him, he brought him back. But he was gone, that's what he told me, he was gone. And with a hanging, you've only got maybe a minute. I mean,
So just having the brain, the oxygen.
yeah, maybe a minute to save somebody.
So see, when you were in there after the 5 days, did they give you the option to turn the machine off?
Aye, that's basically what it is. Basically, Tony's left on his own, so you've got somebody that's not getting any help to live anymore. And he lasted another 2 days, which they didn't expect him to last. It was, but
You lasted 2 days off the machine?
yeah.
What date was that, Linda?
That was the 8th of July.
8th of July.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must have been traumatic for everybody, especially yourself. You're saying he was your best pal, but you don't know the level of suffering that people go through.
No.
That darkness. Most people aren't willing to reach out and even speak about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Never mind speak about to their close ones, their close family. So this is a great message that you're sending out to tell people that going through that darkness, that pain, that suffering, there's always a way to, somebody's there to listen. People have been through this many a times. Yeah. And it's really difficult. But talk me through after that then, right? The funeral, because I was at Tony's funeral, and it was a typical Tony event, would I say? Yeah. Because I remember when I was standing in the crowd outside, it was massive, everybody, you couldn't get in. I think I snuck in the fire exit like I used to do at dancings. But I got in anyway, and I remember the coffin with all the floaties, and I'd never seen anything like it, because even in the actual, it was in Dildowie, in the crematorium where they had the big screens up, they were putting like floaties and wee clips and stuff. I'd never seen anything like that before. It was powerful. And I'm sure the guy that you got to speak about Tony at the service was also called Tony. Yeah. Can you tell me that story?
Aye, so we went with the co-op, who were amazing, absolutely amazing. And obviously to do Tony's talk, it had to be somebody special. So they'd got a woman to phone me, and as if I could hear Tony in my, "Don't you go there, Linda. That's not how I want to be doing my talk." And there was a man, and I'd actually phoned the lassie. She must have thought it was off my head, because we had to keep changing things. And I says, I can't go away. I need to find somebody. I probably need to find somebody out with myself. So it was my friend that went to a funeral, and she said this boy was amazing. His name was Tony. So he couldn't make it up. So I said, well, that's a boy. That's going to be the boy. And he came out. He came out and he wanted to speak all of the family, get Tony's story, get the background. They got all the boys up, and family members saying this, that and the next thing. Tony, he could sit all there all day and all night telling stories about Tony, his mischief. But I never said a word. I just let them. I was like, this is about them. It's about them, their life with Tony. But I had this bee in my bonnet about the story that I wanted to tell. I just wanted to tell this wee story about him. So anyway, the boy Tony sent me over it. You've got to go over it and make sure everything's all right. And I chinned him about one of the dogs. He got the wrong name with the dog. So he was a funny guy, and he's saying to me, "That's all you've got to chin me about, you want me to change that?" I said, "Aye, I want you to change that." And when I looked at the story, it was like, it was amazing, beautiful, everything, sad, rolled into one. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to say about my wee hang, I'm just going to leave it. But the story I wanted to tell about Tony was great at football. He was into his football, heavy into his football, and then he was a wee rascal. Tony was a rascal. And he was going through this wee stage. So he was stealing at Asda. So he went up and stole a telly, because the football was on, so you need a telly. They all needed a telly to watch, wherever they were watching it. So he went up and stole the telly. So go back down, smashing, stole the telly, got it sorted, back up. Need pizzas to go with the telly, didn't you? But they'd spotted them on the camera. So we get caught with the pizzas. So anyway, the police. So what happened, done anything, you're a teenager, you take them up, get them a bollocking. So you go to it stinking, walking up, and it's like, right, you better listen to everything that gets said, the usual, getting them the pattern. So the police went up, big hunky looking police. He's like, right, on in. So we had the talk first, and he's like, right, how are we playing this? This is what I always done with the teachers and all the rest of it. Who's good cop and who's bad cop? He's like, I'll give him a right bollocking, right? You all right with that? I gave him it stinking. So Tony comes in, brazen as hell. He's like, what are you fucking playing at? What you doing? What you doing? Stealing the telly, then come back up for the pizzas? Who do you think you are? He's like, hold on a minute. See if you're watching the football and you've got the big telly, you're going to want a Scooby snack to go with that. And I swear to God, I was like, I'm going to kill him. The two just looked at each other and they went, and he was, the story was massive, and he just slapped him back. He said, just get out. He's like, what am I supposed to say to you that? But that was my story. That was my story I wanted to tell about Tony.
But that just shows the character.
Really, he was like, I really don't give a shit.
Aye, and I can admire that because I'm a bit like that myself.
Aye.
I don't like rules and regulations and authority and stuff like that, but I know we need to behave ourselves sometimes.
Aye.
But that's a really amazing story to tell because it really opens up the guy he was.
Aye.
You know what I mean? To steal the telly and then get back for the pizzas.
Aye.
I think I'm going to need to write a sketch about that one day. But with your permission, you know, we can change your name a wee bit.
Of course.
But it's inspirational.
Aye.
That you can sit and talk about these things. So I know you started getting ideas of how can we keep Tony's memory alive, right? When did it start to play in your mind to say, right, I need to create something new because you don't want other people to suffer that pain of losing a son or a daughter through suicide, so you are then want to put something in place to help people that are in a dark place, that they find themselves able to reach out to you?
Yeah, I lost Tony the 8th of July, and he would have been 25 on the 10th of September. So that was one of the hardest times for me. I was just totally gone, basically. But there was an opportunity came up, one of my friends, for an assist suicide awareness course. So through North Lanarkshire. So she said to me, I says, I need to do this. I need to learn more about this. So the day after his 25th birthday, I was going to do this course. And when you done it, was massive, this course at the time. And you had to sit and go through what had happened in your life with suicide. And I had to start from the beginning. My mum, my brother-in-law, and then I got to my son. And because my friends there doing it with me, I'm all right if it's strangers sometimes, but people know me. That's when I can greet because they know. And I kind of broke down a wee bit, and they basically stopped and said, this is really soon. Should you be here? I says, I need to be here. I need to be here. So that was it. Done the course. And then we were going to Chrissy's house, who do amazing work through my show. Beautiful people. But I don't drive. My sister was taking us. I needed to get all this out. I need to speak. I needed to understand everything. And we're going through, and I couldn't get to talk because every time we went, was somebody else had lost to suicide, so you felt you had to let them. We were coming away back, and it was just getting deeper and deeper. And I was just seeing it in friends and family, a community. I was like, I can't allow this to happen to another family. But if this happened to somebody else, they've got nowhere to go, nowhere to speak to. So I need to do something. And that's how I started in November. We started the group sessions. and opened it up. And it was opened as Tony's suicide prevention at the start. That's what we started with. So it's always been TSP, you know what I mean? It's always been that. But we were in Muirfield Centre. It was just people coming from all over. And in Cumbernauld, it's hard because people are so close, and more people in Cumbernauld should have probably been using it. But, she's gone, and you know what I mean? I don't want people knowing my business. But my thing is, who cares? Who knows what? Because what they don't know are going to make up anyway.
It's a great thing, Linda, because I always say that people are worried about judgment and what people will think of them. But see, to be honest, no matter what you do in your life, people will judge you anyway.
Yeah.
So you just go and do what's best for yourself.
Yeah.
When did you come up with the name to change it then?
Well, we went to Broadwood. We got a chance in Broadwood, and we were in there for a good while. And we changed it then. I mean, the meetings were like 30 people would be coming. It was just getting mad. It was getting bigger and bigger. Sam H were bringing people down. It was unbelievable what was happening. And the goal was always to get a community hub. And I'd actually got the keys for somewhere. I was away looking. I wasn't really saying anything to him. I was away looking. I was like, I need to do this. I need to get this sorted. So I got the keys just before the pandemic, right before the pandemic started. And took us 2 years to get in that. Done it all up, flooded, started again. And we've been going nearly over 2 years in the hub now. And it's been amazing, the amount of people walk through our doors. And it's Tony's name. It's above that door, and I believe we couldn't save Tony. But Tony was born to save others. That's what I believe in Tony. And I do believe he saved a lot of people. Even by the loss of his life. It made people look at their lives and think, I need to change my path. You know what I mean? Because a big boy like Tony, and full of fun and laughter. You know what I mean? And I believe it could happen to any of us. And trauma, things going in your life. It could happen, but only one step away for everything going wrong. But it's how we turn that round. And there's always hope out there. Because Tony, the year before, he had another year with him. That could have been so traumatic in that situation that he was in. But he had another year because he had that next day. Because there always is, isn't it? There's always a tomorrow. Tomorrow could get better. I mean, so that's what people need to hold on to.
It's inspirational, Linda. I know you get loads of different people coming to Tony's Safe Place. I waited till we were live in the studio till I told you this one. A lot of people message me and I just send them to you because I can't handle them. I'm thinking, I'm crazy as well. So I secretly say, I'll go and see Linda at Tony's Safe Place. That's how they're all queuing at the door. So you need to start charging them money. But listen, it is inspirational. It's powerful.
Yeah.
I know you were talking about New York and how Tony loved the place. I remember seeing one of his posts about how it was snowing and stuff like that. Because I went to New York in the winter. Actually proposed to the kid's mum there.
Nice.
Divorced the next day. Nah, I kid not, we were. But that was a special place for me as well. And I remember seeing Tony putting the posts on and how amazed he was by the place.
Yeah.
Can you tell me that story?
I just loved. Tony should have been at Tony's funeral. The boy Tony looked around and he was like, Tony was a black man in a white man's body, but he was very much into the music side and the way he would talk American. He would have all these sayings. He was obsessed with the films and all that. He could tell you every word out of a film. And but we met in New York. It was brilliant, the 2 years together. And walking down the street and it was mobbed. And in Glasgow, you know what we're like. We do that. We want people to say, excuse me and all this. But anyway, I couldn't move. And he's away in front of me because he's always storming away ahead. And this big woman comes in and she pushed me. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you fat bitch.
And that accent.
That American accent. And he's howling because he thought this was hysterical. And that's why he's like, you fat bitch, Linda. Now, he would say this all the time to me. And I was like, but it was really funny. And my thing when I went to New York, I always said to Tony, I want to get in a yellow taxi because I'd seen them in the films. That was my thing. But no, he frog marched me everywhere. We walked everywhere. And he was like, no, we're not going in a taxi. Don't need taxis. And then when we went to Central Park, when we first got there, it was beautiful. And then it just changed. I've never felt cold like it. We had to change our clothes, but we bought and everything. It was freezing. And I wanted to go in the horse and carriage. But no, he wouldn't let me. And he's like, it's something you would do with your bird, Mum. I wouldn't date with you. So I'm never going to do that either. But that's who Tony was.
It's a magical place because I loved it as well.
Beautiful.
But I know after the funeral and stuff like that, and then you ended up going back again.
Aye, so we went back the next year. It was a crowd of his family and friends. All went back.
What was the idea of going back then? Obviously you wanted to take Tony,
Aye, well,
Tony's ashes and...
Because Tony loved, I knew that's where Tony loved, New York.
We called his son Brooklyn.
Aye. So we took him in his wee box and I didn't know you had to get permission and all that to do that. You've got to get a wee letter. Nobody looked. That's what I mean. You couldn't open this box. But anyway, so we took him all the way to New York and we were going to scatter his ashes over Brooklyn Bridge. And I'd lost Tony on the 3rd. For me, the day, 3rd of July is the day I lost him. I lost him forever. But his date is the 8th. So the 3rd we'd all went just for a wee trial run to feel where we're going and what we're going to be doing. And I just kind of looked back at everybody. I just went away myself and a really strong thought of, I'm going over this bridge. And it's just it's all different perceptions of the thought of taking your own life or no one to be here. And anybody that knows who's lost somebody they loved, you want to be with that person. That's not about you want to take your own life. It's a totally different feeling. You just want to be with that person. I mean, because you're never going to see them again. But my ex-husband had come up and basically said, look, if you don't want to do this, don't be worrying about thinking you're going to take my way back again. He didn't know, nobody knew my thought. So he broke that thought on me. And I just broke down in tears and I was like, I can't do this, I can't let him go. So we've still done that wee thing with balloons and all the rest of it.
I seen the videos, you were walking along the bridge, family and friends and stuff like that. I didn't know you brought him back, but...
Aye, I brought him back. And my thing is with that, I always said, that box and the ashes, that wasn't Tony for me. The people do, that's their thing, that's not mine. But I didn't realise how important that was till I went to New York. And I would like his boy, Brooklyn, to come with me. And if you could do it together, obviously when he's old enough to understand, and that would be my thing and his decision to do, because it's his dad.
So that's your idea of going to go back now, when he's older. What age is Brooklyn now, Linda?
Brooklyn's 6, aye.
He's 6 now?
Aye, and he's Tony's, it's like a twin.
I've seen him, aye.
It's a twin, and even stuff that Tony does, like the laughing, sticking the tongue out, it's Tony, it's in there, and it's unbelievable, and we see him doing stuff, or he'll come out with something. How would he know that? How would he know? Because that was Tony. We're all got a wee unique things that we do or say. Unbelievable.
It's guided by spirit as well, but it must be such a comfort knowing that when he did leave, he still left, he's left that presence behind, as you said, the name up in the door, taking his own life, but also saving so many others.
Yeah.
But also leaving behind Brooklyn for yourself, having that, it must be a massive comfort to you because you can see him in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You can see Tony in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And that must give you a lot.
I've had to explain that to maybe people that don't get it. That is Tony for me. I know it's my grandson. I know it's Brooklyn. That's Tony for me because it's him. It is him.
It's
A wee
amazing.
bit softer side than Tony, but
Wait there, he's only 6, Linda. Wait till he comes back with 60 inch and 5 pizzas. Then we'll need to worry about it. But it's inspiring for you to sit here and talk about these things. It's such a powerful story, such a powerful message, right? See, before we finish up in this episode, Linda, if you've got a message that you can send out to the audience, now is the time.
I'd just like to say that anybody themselves who is struggling, please tell somebody. Doesn't matter who it is, one person, tell them. And anybody that sees anybody that's struggling, we always say, asking the okay, ask, are you okay twice? Because usually by saying twice, somebody's thinking they can see something. It's about us all looking for it. We're all responsible for each other. In my eyes, everyone is. And nobody's in this world alone. There's always somebody to talk to. Always. And it's about reaching out. Or if you see something in somebody, just ask them, are you okay? But ask it twice. And we're all here to help. And anybody needs, doesn't matter where you go. If you go to the doctors send people to us. So we're all here to help each other. But please, please don't sit in your own thoughts, because tomorrow is another day and nothing is permanent. You can change anything. And that is living proof of what I said about Tony that day. And nobody who takes their own life wants to die. That's not what they want to do. They want to end the pain. That's where we are with that. It's no that they want to die. But you can get past that. We can all get past that. So I'm begging people to reach out.
Beautiful message, Linda. Such an inspiration. And I know you're going to continue on to do amazing things, helping thousands of people. And I'd love to come on, work alongside you. Different events.
Yeah.
I know you said to me, Jim, you need to be serious. I'll try my best. But you're such an inspiration. You bring this great power because you're using your pain and you're transforming that into a great light, a shining bright light for other people to come, and it's like a magnet. They're drawn to it because everybody needs help. We all need somebody to talk to.
Yep.
Including me and you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad that we've got this connection and we've got this friendship now, because I believe that it was meant to happen.
Yep.
You were supposed to come to this studio and tell this story, because I've got goosebumps talking to you. You bring so much power, and I want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
And I want to wish you well for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My mum had severe postnatal depression, and my first memory is me coming home from school, me and my sister, and 2 police standing outside the closed door, and we were ushered away. So my mum had took her own life. She took an overdose. Tony was a big massive character, and he hated all the drinking and all that. It was just that after Tony took his own life, I thought about stuff that he'd said, and it was just, I hate this place, he would say. No, like me and you would say. But no, for the other things, no, you couldn't pick up on things with Tony. He's I need to tell you something. You need to sit down. He says, I tried to take my own life last night, and the police are probably going to come back to the door. But Tony, while Denise is away, he takes his watch off, wallet out the pocket, phone, and goes and gives it to my wee granddaughter. And Gudrun, just round the roundabout is a police, an ambulance. So he starts chasing them, and they took us to the hospital. and we had to wait for ages. We were all there. They let her in to see Tony. And everybody was like a sigh of relief because he just looked as if he was sleeping. Just like to say that anybody, themselves, who are struggling, please tell somebody. Doesn't matter who it is, one person, tell them.